On this episode of The Strange Show, I had the pleasure of interviewing Brian Malonson. Brian is the Quality Control Manager at Wholesale Gadget Parts in Bixby, Oklahoma. Wholesale Gadget Parts is one of the largest and oldest distributors of electronics repair parts and accessories in the U.S. I really enjoyed this discussion with Brian, and I hope you guys find some value from it. Today's sponsor is my company, XI Repair. If you need your device repaired or data recovered, check out xirepair.com. We're a WISE certified provider that can help fix your cell phone, tablet, computer, laptop, and game console. We offer an industry-leading warranty and have successfully fixed over 40,000 devices since 2018. Now, on to my discussion with Brian from Wholesale Gadget Parts. So tell me about Wholesale Gadgets.
So, man, we probably one of the first. Started in 2009. Started becoming a one-stop shop early 2010.
Did you guys do repairs back then?
No, we've
Okay, just
never
for
done
part.
repairs because we always believed that why are you going to be competition for someone that you're trying to support with parts?
Sure.
And so that's just always been kind of against our core values of supporting our customer. So that's what we do. Um, they've been doing it since 2009, so they've got something right.
Yeah, we've used you guys before quite often. I know we buy like a lot of cases.
Yeah, yeah,
My fiance is around here somewhere. I would ask her specifically what would be in our last order.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
She was telling me about that.
so I heard you guys had got a new warehouse, right?
We did, we did. We just got a new. The total building 60,000, but of course, as smart business people do, they've sectioned off some of it to lease it out so that we've got some of that income to help offset the cost of building and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
that's amazing. And
Yeah.
you guys own the building, so
Hmm.
that's so
Yeah,
awesome.
you can't go wrong with that, right?
Yeah, that's a great business model, dude. Great business model. And you guys didn't shut down and not ship people their orders for like 2 weeks when you switched buildings?
Yeah, no, we didn't shut down. We got out every order. We kind of did it in stages. So our highest moving items, we literally moved half of that inventory over to the new building so that we could ship out of that building, but we still had some in the old warehouse so that when we did do the final move, we were still shipping all the way until the last day.
That's awesome. It's Oklahoma, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's cool. Is that a pretty good location for you guys? I'd assume, kind of being centrally
I think it
located.
is. Yeah, I mean, it it's good and bad in some ways because shipping from us can sometimes be expensive if you're just needing that one-off part.
Mm.
Um,
You mean
but
shipping, like if there's a warranty or something, sending it back to you guys? Is that what you mean?
no, like if you're just going to get one Samsung screen from us or something like that, it can be a little expensive. But typically, most customers are within 1 to 2 days, and if they get ground, most of the time they'll get it in a day. So it's not that bad. It's when you get into the FedEx and priority orders that it's not really worth it to buy one part at a time.
And you guys have like the free shipping cutoffs too. So I mean, isn't it
Absolutely.
what 250,
Yeah,
350,
I,
something
I
like that?
should have brought over the pamphlet. But right now, I think we have the lowest minimum order quantity for overnight shipping. Like FedEx standard overnight is $800, where most are 1,000. So I think we come in pretty good there as far as that goes.
That's awesome. I think most people listening to this are going to be curious your thoughts on the tariffs and how that's going to impact. I know that Trump administration is kind of like dangling threats right now without giving specifics of what it's going to be. I gave a panel just a few hours ago where I was talking about a lot of people had talked about the blanket exemption as if that was permanent. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but it's not a permanent thing. It's 30 to 60 days until they release their non-negotiable, from what they've talked about, national security semiconductor policy that includes LCDs, lithium batteries,
Right.
other components. Any thoughts on how that could affect prices at
So
Wholesale
it's
Gadgets?
definitely going to affect prices. There's
Yeah,
no getting around
yeah.
that. I think what the biggest outcome that we're going to see, and the thing that people are forgetting about, is that if you remember back when iPhone 8 screens were, it was like you couldn't get them. And so the price of those screens were, I mean, they were upwards $20, $25 a screen. We got from repair shops, man, we made the most money that time when those screens were in short supply. We made a killing. We loved it. But yet they still want cheaper pricing. I think what's going to happen is it's going to weed out those one person shops. It's going to weed out those, hey, we'll do your screen for $29. Now, because the cost of entry is going up, which in my opinion should have been going up anyway.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's think about it. What other industry has a $200 buy-in? Seriously, if you've got 200
I
bucks,
have an answer for you, but I can't say it on air. So
I hear you, and we'll talk about that off air. But other than those other industries, I mean, there's mechanics. You can't. It's going to cost you thousands of
yeah,
dollars
you got to
to
buy the
get into
tool.
there.
You got to buy.
You got to buy everything.
Yeah.
Um, even
A,
movie production or
a jack
podcasts.
is $200 at Harbor Freight
Yeah,
nowadays. So
exactly. And then even doing podcasts, if you want to get into that, if you want to do it and be good at it, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas in repair, if you worked at a repair shop, you've pretty
yeah.
much gotten all the skills that you need to successfully run a repair shop, except for the business part. So,
Right.
and I think that's where the tariffs are really going to come in, because now you're going to be required to get quality parts. People are, wholesalers are going to be more particular about the parts. Repair
That's
shops,
interesting. Why do you think the wholesalers will be more
well, because
particular
if
with
we're
the
paying
costs?
more on those parts,
Okay. Yeah.
we're going to want quality. We're not going to want.
Yeah.
We're not going to want to send them back. Here's why: we get 75 cents on the dollar for anything that we have to return. So we're actually eating money that that repair shops aren't. And they don't see that in, and we don't necessarily want them to see that in.
For sure. For sure.
We just want them to get a good part, be happy with the part, and know that they can get taken care of if something is wrong.
What would you say is the fail rate of the average screen?
You
And
want
I
my-
don't just mean you guys,
honestly,
like just yeah, honestly, of LCDs, like across the board.
maybe 5%, and that's
Yeah.
pushing it, because we had gotten to a point to where we felt like we were being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So we started testing a lot of what came back.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I said 95% of what came
A
back
lot of it
could have
is-
gone back to inventory,
Yeah.
but because it's already been installed, it's got glue or protection's been removed from it. We've got to send it back and eat that loss. That
Oh, that's interesting. So when you guys send back those warranties, even if it's got glue or whatever on it, they're 75 cents on the dollar for you guys.
Yep,
But
we
at
don't-
least
yeah.
you're getting something.
we
I always
are
assumed
getting
y'all got
something.
nothing.
Yeah, we are getting something, and that's why we started the buyback program, to help offset some of that cost, because we still have to pay that 75 cents on the dollar doesn't include shipping to get it back.
Yeah, that's a big cost.
So
for sure.
yeah, so when we factor all that in, that's what buyback does for us. It kind of covers that cost, helps us to not burden a repair shop with, okay, well, we're going to do a 15% restock fee because it works and it's new. No, we just say, okay, send it back. We'll send you a replacement or a credit, whatever that looks like.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is user error too, like the technicians not connecting flex cables entirely properly, or
So I've been to a lot of depots, and of course they turn a lot of screens at those places. And the most common mistake that I've seen them make is they're just going too fast. They're not making sure that they're plugging it in and it's fully seated. And so in a repair shop, I see the same thing. That's where I started back in 2000. I want to say late 13, early 14. I started in a repair shop. And most of the time, when I had a screen that didn't work, it was me. Because if I handed it to the tech next to me, they'd plug it in, screen would work fine. It was like, so I just kind of implemented that into wholesale gadget parts as well, is that if a screen comes back, if you test it and it doesn't work, I need to test it. And if it doesn't work for me, then it's absolutely 100% defective. We send that back. But if I test it and it works fine, then it was a user error. And of course, we're not going to tell technicians or repair shops that, because it's not beneficial to either of us. But what we can do is things like this, where we can say, hey, do the two-step process. One technician tests it. If it doesn't work, goes back in a box on the shelf. The next technician that gets it, they test it. 9 times out of 10, it'll work. And if it does, then hey, you've done more than one thing. You've stopped an RMA coming back to us, but you've also saved your shop money. How did you save your shop money? Well, you're not out that time for that repair. You're not out that time for that screen coming back to us. You're not out the cost of getting a replacement. So just taking that one extra step of putting it back in the bin, letting another technician test it, can save your repair shop hundreds of dollars by the end of the month, when you really think about it.
talk about. I'm curious. I've been buying parts in 2014, and in my own anecdotal experience, I feel like I've seen an increase in quality with aftermarket parts.
100%.
How has that evolution come about a little bit, and like kind of how do you see?
So I can't take credit for any of it.
Sure,
But
sure, sure.
what I think has happened, wholesalers, they finally got a clue and started bringing people in from repair industry to be part of their quality control, part of their testing team. And I think because they brought those technicians in, like me, they said, no, we can't do this because this is what's causing the problem in the repair shops. And so I got put in front of China. I got taken to China. I was able to express the problems that I had in a repair shop and what I'm seeing on returns items as a wholesaler now. And so they started being held to a higher standard
Yeah,
themselves. And I think that's as wholesalers started doing that, that's what really caused the shift in quality from China. And it really didn't raise the parts. It was just, they're only going to give you what you expect.
sure, exactly. Yeah.
So,
And
and
I'm
we,
sure you guys and everyone else are going to send back. Like, do you guys do QC on arrival? Is that something that, yeah. And so I'm sure you guys are QCing and like, hey, you just got this here. 50% of these are crap. You better replace them, right? Like,
exactly. And we've had those calls.
yeah,
And the nice thing is we make those calls right away. So I don't know how other wholesalers do it, but we do ours in a batch system. So everything that comes in, if we get it in, say this week I got in 100 iPhone 12 screens, and then next week I get another 100 iPhone 12 screens. Well, those are actually dated by the date they come in. So we know what batch they are. If something's going on, we can contact the factory and say, hey, this batch came in on this date with this marking. We're seeing a higher increase in defects. And that allows them to go back, and we can also pull our inventory and say, nope, we're not selling those until we get them tested. And then they go through QC again and get 100% tested so we can weed out all the bad ones.
a lot of repair shop owners back in the day, less so today, but back in the day would like, I mean, we did it. We bought directly from China for a short period to try to weed out the wholesalers. And I'm telling this story because I think it was a terrible idea, right? Like, unless you're buying in scale, there's not enough margin to even justify having those. Like, you need those. Is a one man shop at the time. You don't have a QC control guy,
Right.
right? You don't have inventory systems like we
100%.
do now. But even now, it wouldn't really be. It wouldn't justify the cost to do it. So where I'm going with this is like I don't know if you can share margins, but at least like ideas of you guys aren't making $1 million on every order, right?
No.
Like explain how it you guys are making a very
So
small amount of money on these orders. It's not worth the
exactly.
average shop to try to do
It,
that.
no, and that's why, like, when we see other wholesalers come out that used to be repair shops, it's like, stick with what you know. Stick with what you know because you're going to be a lot more successful
Yeah.
at doing the repair side of it.
Yeah.
Because here's the other side. You're going to be highly disappointed with the margins because we shoot for 5%. We're lucky if we get 3.
Yeah.
When you factor in the returns, RMAs, all that stuff factored in, free return labels, um, we're lucky if we get 3%. And then, of course, you have repair shops. Well, I need the best price. I need cheaper. I need cheaper. I'm getting it 10 cents cheaper over here. And I'll go over there if I need to. Okay, great. Well, the thing you got to remember is the more you drop those wholesalers and you force them to drop their prices to keep your business, number one, the less quality you're going to get
Yeah.
because they're going to try and skimp somewhere, whether
Yeah.
it be on a flex cable, the frame, whatever it is to try and make up that margin, or they're going to charge you more somewhere else. If, in my opinion, if repair shops just saw it from the perspective of a wholesaler, we're not trying to make millions of dollars
Yeah.
off of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got better margin.
It's the grocery store model, right? You're
Exactly,
gonna make
exactly.
5% on each salad that you sell, but because of that, you're gonna sell a lot more, and you're gonna be fed, right? Like
Right. And,
same thing.
and that going back to were we a repair shop? That's 100% why we wanted a repair shop. Because let's be honest, if we started as wholesaling, we got that business down, and we're like, oh yeah, we're rocking this, we're supplying everybody, but then all of a sudden we're doing repair as well.
Hmm.
Why would anybody want to buy directly from their competitor? It's an injustice because now I'm making 100% profit on these repairs. Why do I want to give you a discount on your parts? Because now you're just competition for me. I want to
Sure.
keep as much as I can in my business and keep as much away from you as I can. So to prevent that, that's why we implemented that value of we will not compete with our customers. And that be from the mobile repair all the way up to the big brick and mortar shops, franchises. We just won't compete with you guys. It just not what we're going to do.
What do you got? So you see what comes in and out of wholesale gadgets. What are the Is LCD still the most popular screen replacement part for over OLEDs? Is that still? Yeah,
Unfortunately, yes.
yeah,
And it's going back to that pricing. Hey,
yeah,
give me this 10 cents, give me that 10
yep, yep,
cents. Us as wholesalers, we would love to only sell you for that model what that phone came with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if it is aftermarket, at least we know it's drawing the right power, it's got the right calibration, it's got what that phone needs to function at 100%. Whereas an LCD, we know that that repair shop is possibly going to cause damage to that customer's phone. That's it's going to be more expensive than the phone's probably worth to retrieve that data, or even get it back up and functioning. Thankful we have a lot of board level repair shops out there now that can actually fix those. But on the same hand, personally, I would rather reduce the amount of repairs that go to those guys for improper screens than saving actual data that somebody needs, a lost loved one, they can't get into the phone. Or that's the stuff that I'd want to see those guys working on, and not repairing a screen because someone didn't unplug a battery or they used an LCD on an OLED.
I bring that up not to knock the shops that are using them, because I get that there's a business for it. And at the end of the day, if as long as you're being transparent and the customer knows what they're getting, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not putting it on my phone. I'm getting
Right,
an
right.
aftermarket OLED. It's a few dollars more, and I'm glad to pay it.
Right.
But I bring that up because if you're an average shop, let me use me as an example. We have an aftermarket pro, and a genuine OEM line model, and we essentially our wholesalers that we're purchasing from, we essentially just take their model. If it's an LCD, it's an aftermarket. If it's an OLED, it's an aftermarket pro, and then the genuine we purchase through our independent repair provider program with Apple is the genuine OEM. We've taken that approach for like iPhone 12, 14. Where does your expertise, where with your expertise do you recommend the cutoff for those cheap LCDs? Because in my own experience, and you probably have a lot more than me, I would say that the older models are more reliable with the LCDs than maybe the ones that have just come out.
So the older LCDs are more reliable. Going back to the quality came up over the years. Same thing happened on those LCDs. The technology got better, especially when you're thinking they're trying to work on OLEDs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're kind of taking the knowledge of that technology and implementing it in LCDs, so they're more responsive, they're brighter, they're just better quality, um, and perfect for those phones that came out and had LCD, and probably performed better than what the original did when it first came out. Um, but yeah, as far as like on OLEDs and stuff, LCD's just not going to match the same as an OLED.
But in terms of a recommendation, do you, and I know you guys sell them all, and so maybe it's nuanced, but is there a cutoff for you don't recommend an LCD anymore? Because like with us, we're not putting it on a 16. We just don't offer it. We think it's
Right.
probably too soon. Is there a time frame that you say like, hey, if you want to have a really reliable LCD that's not going to destroy your device, wait 1 year, wait a year and a half?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I tell most of my customers, especially the ones that buy locally from us, um, man, if the phone is still running fast, it's a newer phone, say like 14, I would go with the OLED.
For sure.
Keep that
Yeah, for
customer
sure, for sure.
happy. Anything past that, if the phone's already lagging because of iOS updates, throw an LCD on it, because they're not going to notice much of a difference, because that phone's already struggling from the new updates, the low battery health. It's already compensating for so
Yeah,
many things
for sure, for
that the
sure.
LCD is really not going to make much of a difference. And I think iPhone 12 is probably getting to about that point where
But is it a true? Am I correct in my analysis that it feels like the iPhone 12 LCD is more reliable than an iPhone 16 LCD? Like, is there some truth to
they're,
that they
they're
continue with their quality control, and maybe their mild R&D in China to figure out fixes to make the
that
LCDs better?
that's 100% right,
Okay.
because you got to think Aftermarket screens don't just come because
Yeah, Apple's not like
China's
here's our
exactly.
spec
So
sheets.
they're literally, they take those screens, they start with the panel, they start building it up, they put flexes on there, they test it.
Yeah,
It's probably not going to work the first few times. And then when they finally get one working, they'll go ahead and release it because, of course, they will. It's China. Let's get it out there. But then once they do that, over the next few months, they're modifying the chipset, they're modifying the flex cable to make it better.
no.
I would say the first time you see an LCD come out, wait 6 months. Give them
This guy's
six
being
months.
honest with you guys.
Yeah, give them 6 months to
Yeah,
perfect it. Because here's the deal: if you use an LCD, as soon as it comes out for that phone, no matter how stable you think it might be, or no matter how stable a
yeah,
supplier says it may be, give it time to work out its kinks.
yeah.
Same thing, like Apple iOS. You don't really want to download the new update as soon as it comes out. You want to let a few people do it and see what's going
Yeah,
on
no.
before you commit. Same thing I think with the LCDs. Let them come out. Give them about 6 months, and then once they've worked out all the kinks, then jump in and start buying them.
I've always thought that the LCDs were like the equivalent of us not offering the LCDs on the newer model. Is kind of like letting your competition, blow themselves up, right? Because they're all going to do it. And
Exactly.
so then they're all going to come back to me over the next 6 months to 9 months with, hey, I took it here, and it. Well, we had one. What was it, iPhone 16? Took it to some kiosk in the mall. That's not a repair shop. They doing other stuff, and they're slapping things together to
Yeah.
make some extra side money. Guy said after he got the LCD put on it, it got so hot that it burned his hand, and he had to throw the phone. It's
Yep.
like those types of stories is what I don't want to associate with. But I haven't. I feel like, again, anecdotal, but I feel like the 13, 14, 15s are reliable. It's that first year where like OLED only is kind of an approach we've taken.
100% agree. And then, so this is going to touch on something that Apple now says is okay to do because it's in their self repair guides. Not unplugging the battery when doing a screen replacement. I've seen so many technicians just do a hot swap. And on the 14s and stuff, I get that. But the thing you don't realize is you only have to be off a millimeter.
Yeah, you
And then
short something and you're
yeah,
done.
you've shorted something, and now that screen gets your phone hot,
Yeah,
or it just doesn't work at all, or now your cell service isn't working quite right. I mean, all that stuff's intertwined, and it's just some of those practices that if you are going to use the LCD, do the extra step. Try and ensure as little damage as possible.
yeah,
And
absolutely agree.
even if they are stable, you still want to do that because LCD draws power differently than an OLED does.
Hmm. That's a great tip. That's a great tip, especially on the newer ones with the back glasses that come up.
Yep, absolutely.
You probably see. I don't know how many clients Wholesale Gadgets has, but I'm sure it's a ton because you guys are a huge company. You see the good shops and the bad shops, at least in your customer base. And what do you think differentiates them?
I think what differentiates them is a hands-on owner.
Hmm.
I see so many times the shops that I have the most problem with are franchise shops that don't have an invested owner in the shop. It's like they pay the bills, they write the checks, they do all that, but they're not as invested as they used to be. Um, and they don't really have any kind of training program implemented.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of whether it be Wise, whether it be iPad Rehab, um, Cellbotics.
Robotics in the call, yeah.
Cellbotics, that's the first place I refer everyone to is Cellbotics, because you need the core foundations. And I'm going to go a little godly on you here, but it stands true. You cannot have a house without a good foundation. And without that foundation, the house is eventually going to crumble. So if you take your technicians, you spend a little time, you invest a little money, could they run out on you? Yes, absolutely, they could. But you have to remember that in the long run, you're protecting your trade by training that technician.
Hmm.
You build the foundation strong, you can have a strong house. Regardless of what happens later on in the future, if they move on, you can be thankful, hey, they're trained, they're not going to damage anyone's device. go be an entrepreneur and try and make a better life for yourself, because that's what we're all out here to do, right? We're all trying to make a better life for ourselves. But I think if you don't stick to the core foundations, building a good foundation, being an involved owner, you're going to struggle as a repair shop.
Yeah. A good technician is kind of like a good bottle of wine. You know, you let it ferment for 1 year, it's worth $2. You let it
Exactly.
ferment for 20 years, it's worth hundreds of dollars.
Exactly.
You know?
And then the one thing that I see that I think hurts repair shops is they're not compensating those technicians that do extra to learn more of their trade. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because let's be honest, in my industry, I came from repair. I worked in the oil field. I was a derrick hand in the oil field. I didn't get where I'm at because I just said, hey, I want to work in wholesale.
No, you said I want to work in the hardest industries ever. You went from
Right.
the oil field to the cell phone repair industry, man. Like,
Exactly.
these are
So,
tough industries.
but the reason why I did it is because the challenge of learning something new. And in the cell phone industry, the main reason why I came here, there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, it's never
I
boring.
mean, no,
Never a boring
it's
industry.
never a boring industry. And if you're not learning, you're dying. You're going to be passed up. You're going to be left in the dust. So for me, to continually challenge myself in that way of new phones coming out and having that constant challenge, I think just drives me a little harder. Um, I wish more repair shops and technicians would see that, is that, hey, you have to be responsible for your own knowledge, because no one else is going to take a step and say, hey, I've signed you up for Cellbotics, or hey, I signed you up for iPad rehab. That's not their job to educate you. Now, if they have those, great, take advantage of it. Become the best that you can be. But don't neglect yourself thinking, oh, I know it all. I've repaired an iPhone. There's so much more to it.
There's a lot more to it.
Yes.
Have you seen any shops be successful at, you look at AutoZone, for example, and they're essentially a wholesale gadgets, but in a consumer market, right? They're buying from a wholesale gadgets, oil or auto parts, and then they're selling in a consumer way. Have you seen any shops that have been successful by adding a decent margin to a battery and reselling it to a customer that might want a DIY option?
I haven't seen anyone do that yet as far as parts, just because of the DIY market. There's such a high risk of defect, or not defect, but damage by customer. And so we weigh our options. There are things that we'll put on eBay and Amazon to sell to the general public. And then there's things that we're like, nope, we don't trust you. We're only going to sell those to our trusted repair shops. I've even got some mobile shops that they do really good, but there's certain screens that it's like, they don't do those repairs. And I wouldn't sell them that screen because it's outside of their wheelhouse. They're not good at that repair. Now, if they get better at that repair, then we'll talk about it later. But they've come to an understanding. And on some of those, I've actually had them show up to my shop and say, hey, can you show me how to fix this? Like, dang it, I haven't repaired a phone in like 10 years, right? But we'll pull it apart. And in seeing it done, they're like, yeah, nope, not touching those. And so they just come to that understanding. But then I also encourage them, go get training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go get training, because it's never going to hurt you. Knowledge never hurts. It only helps. So,
Right. That's an interesting perspective. Wholesale gadget parts, really good quality parts, I will say. We've used you guys before. Is there something else in terms of, like, in your own opinion, that differentiates you guys other than just part quality, though? Like, is it
you ready for
service
my
or-
honest answer?
Yeah, go, shoot.
So it's not unknown. You can flip over any screen, see the factory stamps. They're all coming from the same places, same factories. The difference in quality is going to be, hey, I got to save 10 cents on this aftermarket basic grade screen because the customer wants it cheaper. So you might get a different flex. But for the most part, they're all coming from the same factory, all same qualities. What differentiates us is just what I said earlier. We don't have a repair shop. Our business is based on relationship with our customer. I think we actually put a little more time in what we can suggest to the customer, the repair shop, to bring up their out-the-door margins. For example, we do cell helmet. 90% of them never knew that they should be selling the cell helmet accessory with a lifetime warranty. They never knew that. And it's like, yes, you sell that, but then here's the caveat. You don't have to deal with that warranty. You say, go to sellhelmet.com, fill out the warranty paperwork, and it all goes through them.
I think you might have just educated me. Is it not 1 year? Because we sell it, and I always thought it was
No,
1 year.
it's lifetime.
Lifetime screen insurance on that?
On
the
cell
cell
helmet accessories.
Oh,
So
accessories. Got you.
the charging
I'm
blocks,
thinking about the liquid glass.
liquid glass has.
The insurance, though, for if you crack your screen is lifetime?
So that's not going to be lifetime, because once you use that insurance, you've used it.
Sure, but like you can use it once during the lifetime, or is it a 1 year caveat to make a claim?
That on those, it's a 1 year
Okay,
caveat.
okay,
If
cool,
it's
cool.
got insurance that goes with it, that is determined by the insurance company.
Gotcha. But you meant on the accessory themselves.
On the accessories
Cool. And
themselves,
I didn't know that.
on the accessories themselves, that's lifetime warranty. That's an upsell. That's something that will automatically grab customers' attention, and it's not something that you have to facilitate, other than saying, if you break that charge cable, or if you dunk your charging block in water for whatever reason that may have been, go on to sellhelmet.com and apply for a warranty replacement. Remember when OtterBox, same thing, you send them a picture and they'll send you a brand new case if you send them a picture of your broken case. Cell Helmet's the same thing. Send them a picture, fill out the form. I don't think they require a picture. You just fill out the form and you can get a replacement. Well, that's a benefit that you're not using to your advantage to move that $20 item. The other things that we've done is we found out, and I started this in my repair shop when I started. We were selling the 40-cent tempered glass, $19.95. As long as you own that device, we'll replace it for free if it breaks. And it was a big money maker. It made us lots of money. I think it added an extra $4,000 to $5,000 in revenue a month, because most customers maybe keep a phone a year, and most of them don't even remember that they had that tempered glass replaced. But if they do, here's what it does. It also generates a revolving door. That customer's coming back to you. And then guess what? If they spend $19.99 for a lifetime replacement tempered glass, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go tell their friend. I know where you can get a tempered glass, super cheap, and if you break it after you get them to replace it, they'll replace it again for free. And it's things like that WGP does to try and help build that customer's revenue. Because here's the deal. I can work on my revenue all day. It doesn't mean anything. I can talk to repair shops. I can say, hey, we got these prices, we got those prices. The only way I'm going to get you to buy more from me is if I can get your shop selling more. So that's what I focus on.
Last question for you. So I see a lot of repair shops that struggle with pricing, meaning they're not sure how to price. I'll tell you our philosophy, and then I'd love to hear your feedback on what your recommendations to shops are. We've taken a parts and labor approach, meaning we itemize, this is the part cost with a retail markup added to it, meaning we pay 20 for it, customer pays 35 or 30 for it, and then we have flat rate service fees for each type of iPhone, Samsung's, PlayStation 5, etc.
Based on how difficult it is for your bench.
The time for time, how long it really takes to do the repair. And we price like that because otherwise, how do you do multi-repair discounts, right? Like we found that a lot of customers are committed to paying that $100 screen replacement, but if your battery replacement cost is $85 and you're double charging for labor, the $185 repair is not feasible anymore, versus when it's $100 because they're already paying $55 labor rate and 40 something for the part. Adding a $25 battery for no extra labor is a huge markup for us. Mm-hmm. And with no extra work. Seriously, the device is already open. It takes 5 seconds to take out the new battery, especially on the newer devices. That's worked really well for us. What's your opinion on pricing to shops?
I agree with you. Okay, that's how I did it when I was in a repair shop. That's how I did it when I did mail-in repair as I went to college, because I did repairs on the side to pay for college. What I've recommended to some of our local shops, And it's just because of the relationship that we have. I told him, I said, hey, go buy a mechanic's book for their labor rates. Each repair has a specific hour
Yep.
and it has a specific charge for labor a suggested labor rate. I said, that's something we don't have in our industry. And that's one of the things that I think is holding our industry back
100%
is
agree.
that we don't have something where you can pull it up and say, okay, average shop is charging $75 in labor.
Yep.
Here's our part. Here's your labor.
Yep.
And I think once you can get to that point, I think it's going to do a few things. Number one, your part quality is going to get better.
Yep.
Number two, you're not going to be fighting over who's getting what, and you're not going to see those $29.99 repair places because they're not going to be able to compete with the quality of the repair and the fact that, oh yeah, because repair shops, mechanic repair, I just had my Maxima, got a 2016 Maxima. It just died on me one day. I'm like, okay, crap, I got to take it in. $250 diagnostic.
Yeah.
Okay, so
diagnostics is not free.
no, so those shops that are giving free diagnostics away, hello, you're giving money away.
Yep.
So it was $250 diagnostic. And then they went through the entire car and started labeling off all these things that needed to be done to my car that had nothing to do with why I took my car there. And so I think if we kind of approached it that way, and it's not, hey, this is what we're going to charge you. It's, hey, here's your main problem. Now, after looking at your device, here's some things that we've seen that will increase the longevity. Battery. Yep. Battery. Oh, hey, it looked a little dirty inside. Charging port. So we can add that on there. You know, that'll be a little fee. I mean, there's just all these things that repair shops aren't adding in there that would seem professional, bring more money into your shop. And it would also just kind of unify the industry as far as what's expected when a device comes in. Because, okay, I could say, okay, I'm going to bring my phone to you. I need you to run diagnostic. What's wrong with it? Well, it doesn't turn on.
Yeah.
What does your diagnostic look like compared to Joe down the street?
Exactly.
And I think if we had something that kind of standardized what a diagnostic looked like, so our customers knew what to expect up front. I mean, that's one of the problems that we have in the medical industry, right? You don't know what you're paying for certain procedures, right? And people are getting upset with it, and you have the highest debt in medical industry ever in the US. But in the phone industry, we don't have to go down that route. We're literally at a point of we've got to make some decisions. Tariffs are causing higher prices, which, in my opinion, could be a good thing. More than likely will be a good thing because now you're getting rid of those $29.99 screen replacement. You're getting rid of those small suppliers that are buying the cheap stuff that are damaging phones.
Yeah.
That's the thing that a lot of repair shops got to realize. Yeah, I know you've got a local guy. 100% get it. Saves you a lot of money. But if you were to run the numbers, is getting that part from someone that just popped up a couple months ago really saving you that much money? And that's just, that's a decision everyone has to make for themselves. I can tell you from experience, buying from a small wholesaler, there's a lot of things that you're going to have to deal with that you're not going to deal with your big four or whatever the case may be, like poor quality, stuff like that. Sometimes price is everything. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
If you want a $10 screen, you're going to get a $10 screen. It's going to have aftermarket flexes on it. It's going to have whatever we don't put on our screens. That's what's going on that screen.
And it might not turn on when you get it.
And it might not turn on when you get it. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. I look at wholesalers the same as I do a car. I'm not going to go spend $100,000 on a car and get a Chinese electric car. I'm not going to do it. So why are you going to go spend $10 on a screen that could cost your customer $300 later down the road?
And then that should cost you $300 if you're being fair, but
exactly.
Like, well, it didn't turn on. That's your problem.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I guess for me, I would love to see more repair shops get consistent. I think having a repair guide would definitely help. And maybe that's something I need to do. Maybe I need to sit down and get with a couple of shops and say, hey, give me an average of what you charge for repairs and how long it takes you. I'm building a database.
Definitely.
unless you do it.
Well, guys, Brian from Wholesale Gadget Parts, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And if you guys want to check out Wholesale Gadget Parts, it's wholesalegadgetparts.com, right?
No, it's actually
no,
we're,
that's right.
we're the only supplier that has a 3-letter address. It's
Yep,
wgp.com.
That's right. I had to correct myself.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for
It's been a
having me.
pleasure.